The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
There was a family living in Eretz Yisrael in Har Nov. Was married also for many years, didn't have any children. And one day, after almost 9 years of marriage, they were by the doctor, and the doctor says, "Sit down, I have to tell you something." They sit down, they're getting very nervous, scared what they're going to hear, and he says, "I want you to know that you're expecting." And they were thrilled. He says, "No, there's some other news." He says, "What's that?" He goes, "You're expecting. You just told, you're expecting. You're expecting. You're expecting." He goes, "What are you talking about?" He says, "You're having quintuplets. You're having 5 children. Instant family." "What's going to be?" He goes, "Well, it's pretty dangerous. You got to stay in your bed, but you're going to have 5 children. We have to monitor you every week, every 2 weeks, but that's what you're having." And they were so excited. Of course, the community said they're going to get together, and she had the children. Her parents already passed away. His parents were living in New York. They came in to help. It was tremendous, tremendous simcha when she had the children. They were all healthy. She was healthy. Very tired, but healthy. And his parents couldn't stay that long. They stayed for a month. They had to go back. The community in Har Nov chipped in. They helped out. Another month, another 6 weeks. But then, life goes on. Except for these kids. These kids, like all babies, they just want to eat, and then cry, and eat, and cry, and diapers changed. And it was very, very difficult. And they hired a nurse, but they ran out of money. And it was just very difficult. One day they get a phone call, and a lady says, "Hi, this is so-and-so. Are you the one that had quintuplets?" She goes, "Yes." She goes, "Do you need any help?" She goes, "Yes." "What can I do for you? Anything? Everything?" She says, "Okay. What's your address?" He goes, "Address." And she forgets about it. Nothing happens. 3 weeks later, she gets an envelope in the mail, opens it up. There's a check for $15,000. $15,000. Tremendous. They hired a night nurse, and they started living again. 2 weeks later, the phone rings again, and this lady calls up, and she introduces herself. She goes, "Hi, I'm just curious, did you receive the check?" She goes, "Yes." "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't call you to thank you. Thank you so much, it's so busy." No, I'm not calling for that. I just want to know if everything's okay." She goes, "Yes." She goes, now the lady felt a little bad. She didn't call to say thank you. She says, "Maybe you want to come by, and I don't know where you live, maybe you want to come by and see the children?" She goes, "Oh, I'd love to. I actually live in Har Nov." "Wow, okay, so come on by." She lives a few blocks away. And they were so excited, and sure enough, about an hour later, the doorbell rings, the door opens up, and there's this not young lady standing by the door. She invites her in, so excited, and she shows her the babies, and she picks up each baby, gives her a kiss, puts them down. She says, "You want some coffee?" "Sure." And they go into the dining room. The lady looks up, sees a picture on the wall. She goes, "Who's that? Who's that?" And she faints. She faints. So his mother, she doesn't know what to do, calls the Tola. They bring her to the hospital, and this lady's husband goes to check up on her. She's okay. She had a shock. "Could I come visit her?" "Yeah, you can come visit." She comes to visit her, and she's there, and she's talking to her. She says, "Is everything okay?" She looks up and she says, "Who's that picture of in your wall?" She goes, "That's my mother. It's my mother." She goes, "Let me tell you a story." She said, "We were a group of friends, 5 very, very close friends. And like other people in Europe, we got stuck. We were taken to the concentration camps. We were taken to a place called Mauthausen. And we were there. And we decided we're going to stick together. And many times we had to do things, but we stuck together. And we were there. And one time, someone says, I think in a few weeks is Hanukkah." So we said, "And? Well, let's do something for Hanukkah. Let's take Hanukkah licht." She says, "Oh, let's just go to the store down the block and buy Hanukkah." We're in concentration camp. What do you plan on doing?" He says, "Well, we can take some string from our uniforms, and we can find a potato and use that." He goes, "Yeah, and what are you going to light it with?" "We're going to get oil from..." He says, "You know what? Why don't we go? We have a few weeks to Hanukkah. We'll each take a little piece of our butter that we get daily, and we'll use that." "Okay, let's see what happens." Sure enough, it was Erev Hanukkah. They had no butter. Even what they got every day wasn't enough to live on. They couldn't put away anything. And they were very sad. Until one group said, "You know what? Who knows what's going to happen to us anyways? Let's break into the kitchen and we'll get some butter, we'll get some oil. All right, they decided to do it. These girls, they broke into the kitchen, they found the oil. On the way out, a Nazi saw them. He saw them, he pistol whipped them, and he said, I'm going to deal with all of you tomorrow. And they went back to their barracks, crying, and they knew that that's it. They're all going to get hanged tomorrow. When all of a sudden one of them said, you know what? There's a lady here, a lady, Jewish prisoner, but she, for some reason, has special privileges. Maybe she can help us. She lives by herself. She has special privileges. Maybe she can help us. So we went in the middle of the night to her barracks. We opened up the door. There was a light on inside, and there's this lady sitting on her bed with a tehillim, and there's a Hanukkah, there's a candle burning. Couldn't believe it. But she looks up and says, what are you doing here? And we told her what happened. Maybe she can go and help us out. So what are you, crazy? If they see that you came here, they're going to kill you and they're going to kill me. Get out of here. I can't help you. Please, you're going to kill. Get out of here. And she sends them out. This was their last hope. They go back to the barracks and they're waiting for sunrise when they know that it's all over. Sure enough, in the morning after roll call, these 5 girls are taken and they're brought to the gallows. And as they're walking up to the gallows and standing there, this lady, this privileged lady, comes running out from her barrack, her bunk. She runs up to the commander there. She starts talking to him, pointing, looking all different directions. And the guy's looking at her, and immediately he tells everybody back to their barracks. And everybody went back to their barracks. We didn't know what was going on. We know we went back to the barracks. The next thing we know, it's quiet. Nobody was allowed out of their barracks. And then a few days later, on May 5th, 1945, the U.S. Army surrounded Mauthausen. And it was too quiet, they didn't know what was going on. And they waited a few days, and then they came into the camp, and they liberated the camp. We figured out what happened was this lady knew many languages. So she was an interpreter. She would sit down by the radio on a shortwave radio, listening to what was going on, and her job was to report to the commander what's going on outside. He didn't trust information he was getting from the headquarters in Berlin, and that's what her job was. And in return, she wasn't harmed, and she had food. What happened was she came running out and she said that the Americans are right here. They're going to be here in a few hours. She knew that they're still a few days away, but she risked her life to save us. And she went and she said that the Americans are right here. They sent everyone back to their barracks, and the Nazis left. There were there were fewer than 50 soldiers there when the Americans arrived. After the war, we looked for her. We looked for her everywhere. We could never find her. All 5 of us, wherever we lived, we couldn't find her. I walked into your house, and that's her. That's her. That lady on the wall, that was her. That's why I fainted. Now you tell me it's her mother. I'm so happy that I gave you the money. Your mother saved our lives. Now this mother looks at her and says, that's your side of the story. Now let me tell you mine. I was very, very depressed. I didn't have any children. And one day, I had a dream. My mother came to me in a dream. And she said to me, don't worry, Hashem heard your tefillas. 5 for 5. And she went away. I don't know what she was talking about. I told my husband, but nothing happened. And then 2 weeks later, she came to me dreaming again. She says, don't stop davening. Hashem heard your tefillas. 5 for 5. I don't know what she was talking about. And then it was by the doctor, and he told us I'm going to have 5 children. I understood what she meant, 5. I didn't know what she meant with the other 5. And now I realize that my mother saved 5 neshamas. And therefore I had the zchus to have 5 children. 5 for 5. What an amazing lesson. That nothing goes unrewarded.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org